Hello! I just received my copy of The Uprising, a new game released by the Polish company Taktyka i Strategia, about one of the most important, tragic and controversial matter in our modern history, and Warsaw Uprising 1944. This battle causes still a lot of discussion, issues, and it is, like I said, a controversial matter. A lot of people discuss if it made any sense, if it was worth starting, and especially if the losses of people of Warsaw suffered and the city itself was worth of anything that happened. In this certain uprising, about 150,000 of Polish civilians were killed by Germans, along with 15,000 of the Polish uprising soldiers, with only about 4,000 of Germans killed. An uprising an uprising started at 1st of August and end of October 2nd, without any help from Soviet army that stood on the other side of the river Wisła, and with only a minor help from the Western Allies. So, like you can guess, it's the matter of the very hot discussions, and people still prize it as the thing of heroism, but we still discuss if it made any sense to make. So, creating a game about this uprising is pretty complicated because, like I said, this was not a battle where a Polish side could win alone. Poles lacked of especially equipment, ammo, and everything else. Germans, even if they were a bit surprised, knew that uprising is about to start someday, and had enough time to prepare, and even more important, they have a lot of units along Warsaw to move them and help garrison to defeat the uprising. So let's take a look at the game. I just received it about an hour or two before, so let's take a look inside. What's pretty important, the game has quite a unique box. It is not a typical box where you put a lid on, but it is a magnetic box where you can open, voila, and close. Take a look inside. First, we have a rule book. I have a Polish edition of this game. This game was released in Polish and English as well. So I have a Polish rule book, but everything else is bilingual, in Polish and English as well. A rule book is not quite short, quite long. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of rules. Not a big thing. I guess it's pretty easy to understand and memorize all the important rules. I hope so. Next, we have scenarios. We have one historical scenario and 1, 2, 3 fictional scenarios. These are not fictional per se, but these are scenarios where some other historical events might happen. None of these events happened in the history, but in these scenarios they might happen. In this particular scenario, Germans can be less prepared for an uprising. In this scenario, Polish airborne brigade from the UK might be used. There were such plans to use such a brigade, but it didn't happen. And finally, in this scenario, Allies may use more of their air force to drop supply to the Poles. Such flights happened, but because of the Stalin's decision to not let Allied aircraft to land on his side of the front, only a few actions could be taken. And finally, at the end, we have some examples of the combat to show player how it works. Next, we have board. Board is divided into two separate parts. They are making a one big map of Warsaw together. As you can see, board is in English. Everything on the board is already in English, and the map, I would say it's pretty unique. I have never seen this kind of graphic on any other kind of the maps for the war games. It's not using hex grid, but zones where you can move your units from zone to zone. I guess. As you may see, there are different kind of terrains like graveyards, parks, rivers, and so on. There are also railroads, roads. A map seems to be pretty detailed. I can't say much because I'm not a historian of Warsaw itself, but I think it looks pretty good. Here is other half of the board. These two halves have to be joined together. It looks quite good. I like that everything you need is on the board as well, like tables here, reinforcements boxes, and all the other tracks and boxes here. There is quite a big number of these tracks and boxes on the board. I guess it makes sense to show to keep everything on board, so you don't have to keep it around. What's next? Next we have reinforcements cards for both Polish and German side. I think looks quite good. There are combat tables on each of these cards as well. Next we have cards. Each side has its own cards. There are German cards and Polish cards. Cards are already in Polish and in English language. So the publisher didn't have to print two sets of cards for the different language versions of the game. And finally, also a die and counters. The counters looks pretty good. Let's take a closer look if I can make it. They are extra thick, as you may see, and they are punched. You don't have to clip the corners because they don't have such problems like many American games, especially, which I find very good because I'm not a fan of clipping counters. And here you can punch, and it looks good punched without this not quite good looking corners of the counters that you may see at some of the American games especially. There is quite a big number of counters for each side, along with some of the markers, and I think counters in themselves looks pretty good too. Well, that's everything what's inside the box. As for my first impression, I would say it looks pretty good. I can't say much about the rules itself for now. I need to play it, well, maybe not one time, but more to see how it is balanced, especially balanced because, like I said, in the history this battle was hardly unbalanced, and Germans had advantage especially when it comes to this equipment and supplies. I hope rules and especially victory conditions are making it playable. So that would be all when it comes to the unboxing itself. I hope you enjoyed. If you like how it looks, and if you are interested in this game, you have to contact the publisher, and while ordering, ask for the English edition of the rules. I guess that's all for now. Thank you for watching.